The hunt for Russia's Tsar for a day and his faithful British manservant, Excavations begin in search for one of the last Romanovs executed by secret police in 1918 alongside his loyal friend. Excavations are underway in Russia to find the graves of Tsar for a day Mikhail Romanov and his faithful British servant. 1 century after they were shot dead by Bolshevik executioners, a major effort is being made to find the missing royal and his secretary Nicholas Johnson. When tragic Tsar Nikolai II abdicated in 1917, he handed the throne to his younger brother Grand Duke Mikhail. This was to prevent his sickly 12-year-old hemophiliac son, Tsarevich Alexei, becoming emperor. Mikhail took a few hours to consider the heavy task his brother had given him with the First World War raging. He declared the following day he would only take the throne if this should be the desire of our great people. A special constituent assembly he envisaged to decide the question never met and the Russian monarchy collapsed, with the country becoming the Republic, soon to be seized by the Reds. But some claim that Mikhail not Nikolai should be known as Russia's last Tsar. The Tsar for a day and Johnson were banished to exile in Perm region, in the Ural Mountains, and on the night of June 12, 1918 the pair were shot by a Chekist, secret police, execution squad. Johnson had earlier refused a chance to flee to England, preferring to remain with his master in exile, say some accounts. The first shot wounded the royal, according to the records. The second fatally wounded Johnson, who is widely believed to have had British roots. Mikhail stumbled to his feet telling the Bolsheviks, "Let me say goodbye to my friend." Moments later the royal was shot dead. The following month, former Tsar Nikolai, his Empress Alexandra and their 5 children were shot dead by the Communists along with their servants in Yekaterinburg, also in the Urals. Detailed study of archives by a Russian-American team has concluded the remains of Mikhail and his servant are buried in Vishki 2 district near Perm. 3 different plots are being excavated, say reports in Russia. The searchers believe with a high degree of probability that they found the bleak spot where the pair were executed, and the next task is to locate the burial site, reported the Siberian Times today. A Perm official said, "A test trench will be laid to determine the level of the earth in 1918. During the excavations, various scientific methods will be used to identify anomalies that may indicate the location of human remains. If remains are found they will be handed to the Russian Investigative Committee which is probing the deaths of the royal family." In 2009, Mikhail and his servant were officially rehabilitated, having been earlier branded enemies of the people. The analysis of old archive materials leads to the conclusion that these persons were subject to persecution in the form of arrest, exile and surveillance by the Cheka without being charged with any specific crime, on account of their class and social status, said officials at the time. Johnson, known as Johnny at the Russian court, was round-faced, not very tall, and spoke 3 languages. He has been often referred to as having British ancestry and had lived in England. However, his roots remain unclear and he certainly was also partly Russian. He had been Mikhail's private secretary since 1912 but the pair had been friends much longer. A disputed account says his father was a Briton who married Johnson's mother, a music teacher at the Russian imperial court. Nicholas Johnson was an accomplished pianist, and a shared love of music led to his friendship and then employment with the lanky Michael. The pair became known as Little and Large around the court. Michael represented his brother, the Tsar, at the funerals of both Queen Victoria in 1901 and Edward VII of England in 1909. Johnson penned Mikhail's historic declaration which effectively ended more than 300 years of the Romanov dynasty, full text below. After going to Johnson's aid, the wounded Mikhail was shot at point-blank range in the head. The servant's antique watch was stolen by the man who killed him, Andrei Markov. He boasted years later, "I took it as a memory of him after I shot him dead. Since that moment, I haven't taken it off. It hasn't required any repair work." The murders were the first in an orgy of Romanov killings in 1918 and 1919. In all, 18 members of the imperial family were executed. The hunt for the Grand Duke and his retainer are being carried out by Russian experts and U.S. group Search Foundation Incorporated, dedicated to finding remains of missing Romanovs. The remains of Nikolai and his immediately family were found after the fall of the USSR. Abdication of Nikolai II, March 15, 1917. By the grace of God, we, Nikolai II, Emperor of all the Russias, Tsar of Poland, Grand Duke of Finland, and so forth, to all our faithful subjects be it known, in the days of a great struggle against a foreign enemy who has been endeavoring for 3 years to enslave our country, it pleased God to send Russia a further painful trial. Internal troubles threatened to have a fatal effect on the further progress of this obstinate war. The destinies of Russia, the honor of her heroic army, the happiness of the people, and the whole future of our beloved country demand that the war should be conducted at all costs to a victorious end. The cruel enemy is making his last efforts, and the moment is near when our valiant army, in concert with our glorious allies, will finally overthrow the enemy. In these decisive days in the life of Russia we have thought that we owed to our people the close union and organization of all its forces for the realization of a rapid victory, for which reason, in agreement with the Imperial Duma, we have recognized that it is for the good of the country that we should abdicate the crown of the Russian state and lay down the supreme power. Not wishing to separate ourselves from our beloved son, we bequeath our heritage to our brother, the Grand Duke Mikhail Alexandrovich, with our blessing for the future of the throne of the Russian state. We bequeath it our brother to govern in full union with the national representatives sitting in the legislative institutions, and to take his inviolable oath to them in the name of our well-beloved